Operation is pointing to individuals who played a significant role, showing the mindset of this is how it works, pure and simple. This is why I got into it, why I have power, and how the system operates. However, this attitude does not hold up in the face of accountability. Recently, Tom Hanks and others are allegedly attempting to flee the U.S. after the FBI announced its first arrest in the Diddy case. Meanwhile, 50 Cent is exposing those involved.
Do understand that I don't believe everybody.
Right.
Like, the accusations are way too fast, and it's wow. I'm like...
No, we discussed that.
You freeze. You're in shock. I mean, children aren't supposed to handle that sort of stuff.
There are other people within Diddy's operation who we can point to as playing a major role as...
Hey, this is how it works, pure and simple. And this is why I got into it, and this is why I have power. This is how it works, and you have to understand that. That does not carry the day.
Involved in the abuse of minors as young as 7. Shocking revelations from victims provide a deeper look into one of Hollywood's worst sexual abuse rings. The idea of sexual predators in positions of power is not unique to Hollywood. In any industry, power dynamics can lead to inappropriate behavior, ranging from harassment to predatory acts. Hollywood's culture of silence. A critical question arises: is there a culture of complicity in Hollywood? Women fear speaking up due to...
The idea that there are sexual predators in power, not just in Hollywood, I think in all across any place there's a boss with underlings in any corporation or any industry, you have a type of sexual politics that goes on that can slide in between appropriate ethics and decorum to inappropriate behavior to the point of harassment and sexual predatory behavior.
Well, I mean, I think people understand that, but the larger question is there a culture of complicity in Hollywood where women are afraid to speak up because they'll be blacklisted, men are afraid to speak up because either they're out of the same fear or they just think, well, this is the way the system works.
I think there are people that say, hey, this is how it works, pure and simple, and this is why I got into it, and this is why I have power. This is how it works, and you have to understand that. That does not carry the day. Complicity is also complicity. The people who know, well, look, this is how we do business, and that's what it's got to be done. I'm sorry it's like that. So beware. That's also present, without a doubt, but it does not carry the day. There's also people that were afraid to speak out, who were victims, that did not go forward, that signed negotiated settlement deals of which a non-disclosure agreement was part and parcel to it. That also does not carry the day.
Blacklisting, while men either fear similar consequences or accept the system as it is. Some justify their actions, saying, this is how it works, yet this does not justify the complicity. Many victims, silenced through non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, were unable to share their stories. This cycle of silence perpetuates abuse, as seen in the Diddy case.
Changes right there. And in relationships, when you start doing things that or trying to recreate another version of it, it's not like everybody can do it. You know, Jay produced a few things and it was awfully quiet.
Before present day, okay? Because we don't have to get into what's going on right now. But you and Puff haven't liked each other business-wise for a long time.
Oh, that's why. It's only business. It was really... Away from that, I explained why I didn't hang out with him. Right? Because it's a little fluffy stuff going on.
It's not your scene.
It's not my style.
Not your scene.
They hug you from the front and the back at the same time.
It's not your thing.
It's not my thing, bro. No,
you're not you're not a hug front and back.
Yeah, now, do understand that I don't believe everybody.
Right.
Like the accusations are way too fast, and it's wow. I'm like.
No, we discussed that too.
Yo, you know they got a hotline. You heard about the hotline?
Yeah.
You think 50 doesn't know about the hotline?
Bugsby. His name is Bugsby.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Bugsby. But he was the Sean Watt, the one who ran for Sean.
Okay. But what was the original annoyance between? It was just like,
well, when you start to get the momentum, he's like, yo, we gotta hang out. Yo, when we gonna, you know.
So you felt like he was trying to dim your light early in your career?
It wasn't that. It was really I got uncomfortable with him because the way he was acting to try and get me to hang out with him was like, yo, I'll take you shopping. And I'm like, what you mean? Like, that's something you say to a woman you're attracted to, maybe.
Right.
Just what I'm saying.
So you felt like he was trying to play you like you didn't have your own money, you didn't have your own shit.
it was weird because not only do I not go shopping like that, but he knew Misa was getting clothes for me, like was a stylist for me at points. Right. So why are you asking me to go shopping? You're asking me. It's just weird, bro. Like, and now you start to see a lot of the weird stuff that was there. It looks like it all lines up, don't it? It was not in the closet. It was in front of you, and you wasn't seeing it because you see the beards, or you see the girls. So you didn't look at them the way it actually is to a degree.
People who were signaling to us that something was very wrong with Diddy, and they were virtually just being laughed out of the room. One person who was always anti-Diddy and was always speaking about Diddy as a problematic person was 50 Cent. And it turns out that it's just been announced that he's created a docu-series on Netflix. I can't wait to see this. And he is saying that it's a complex narrative that spans decades, which we are obviously realizing this, which should really make it clear to you that Hollywood is a tremendous evil. Everybody colluded to protect these secrets. They all were aware of it, and few spoke out. So Netflix is producing the docuseries from Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent, about the charges of sex trafficking and racketeering, as well as sexual assault and violent abuse allegations against Diddy Combs. And Alexandria Stapleton will be directing the project. I will be definitively watching this. They describe this as a story with significant human impact. It's a complex narrative spanning decades, not just the headlines or the clips that we have seen so far. And 50 Cent is exclusively speaking to Variety, saying that he remains steadfast in his commitment to give a voice to the voiceless and to present authentic and nuanced perspectives. While the allegations are disturbing, we urge all to remember that Sean Combs' story is not the full story of hip-hop and its culture. We aim to ensure that individual actions do not overshadow the culture's broader contributions. Now, I would actually beg to differ. I would beg to differ on this because, like I said, I read that book, Hollywood Babylon, and as it traced, and again, that was movie culture, so they were kind of getting into the beginning of film, silent films, and making it clear that it was the carnies, the carnival people, the freaks that established Hollywood, and they were creating characters, and these people were drug addicted, sex addicted, and essentially they turned them into stars on screen because in many ways they wanted to emulate, mock, and destroy the church.
50 Cent's stand. Among Hollywood's elite, 50 Cent has been vocal against Diddy since the 90s, long before others began distancing themselves. He highlighted the industry's widespread knowledge of abuse, implicating figures like Aaron Carter, Justin Bieber, and Usher, who were allegedly victims during their childhood. Despite clear signs of abuse, no one intervened.
Did the Federal Bureau of Investigation in Miami do it? No, they didn't. Did California do it? No, they did not. The Southern District of New York, they took it upon themselves and put on that raid and everything based on the information they found in Cassie lawsuit and the information they found in Little Rod lawsuit. But all this is bigger than Diddy. It's bigger than Diddy, bro. Cause you know who else they was doing investigation on during that whole time period? It was the mayor and the politicians in New York City. They turn around and give him the key to the city. All the mayor people that he brought on here in New York City are all resigning. They all resigning. People ain't gonna tie this together, but if you look at it, you have to say, because of Mayor Adams and his relationship with Diddy, it brought on the Southern District of New York to start investigating Diddy on civil lawsuits that was put against him. Because the feds is going after all these politicians in New York City.
Diddy's connections extend to high-ranking executives and even U.S. presidents. He was recently awarded the key to New York City mere weeks before the FBI
bring in these people. A lot of these people were also aspiring young artists in the music industry. And then these parties were sponsored by Motown Records CEO, Universal Records CEO. This goes all the way to the top. And so you get these people in compromising situations. The drinks were laced, the videotapes were hot. And then at the end of the day, you wake up the next morning, what did I do? And then they have compromising material on you. And then they can guide your career. They could kill your career, but they got you. And it wasn't just people in the music business. As you said, there were athletes, there were celebrities, there were politicians, people from the royal family. And we were also told by the former bodyguard that Diddy was an FBI informant. Whoa. So he was a snitch and was feeding information to the feds. And we don't know what that means. We haven't been able to confirm it, but even Little Rod said it's not just like Epstein, it could be worse.
Raided his mansion. The Southern District of New York took the lead in this investigation, uncovering ties to political figures. This scandal, however...
And someone who's spoken out about this and is painfully aware is former child star Corey Feldman.
You freeze. You're in shock. I mean, children aren't supposed to handle that sort of stuff. I can tell you that the #1 problem in Hollywood was and is and always will be pedophilia.
Nobody talks about pedophilia.
It's the big secret.
And it's widespread?
Oh, yeah. I was surrounded by them.
For years now, as evidenced on Nightline in 2011, Corey Feldman has been claiming that he and his good friend, the late Corey Haim, were victims of molestation when they were young actors. Last year, he opened up to our Alex Hudgens.
Why did
Kids are scared. You know, kids don't think I'm gonna go. First of all, for me, the person that was doing it to me the most, you know, well, I mean, I could say that the two people that did it to me were both close friends of mine, or so I thought.
Feldman claims Haim endured more than him. In his book, Choreography, he alleges that Haim was raped on the set of the 1986 film Lucas. The following year, 1987, their film, The Lost Boys, came out.
It was when we were both on the set of Lost Boys that, you know, things were happening to both of us, you know, not from anyone on the set, might I clear that up, but, you know, outside elements.
How did people not know when these are two, or did they know and they just weren't doing anything about it?
I mean, I know he told a lot of people. That's the thing that's so upsetting to me. It's not like it's just me that knows this story.
Other people know.
A lot of people know.
They're still working, they're still out there, and they're some of the richest, most powerful people in this business.
Back in 2013, on The View, Feldman was insistent that perpetrators are still out there, but says he won't name names due to statute of limitation laws in California. He also has another reason that echoes something we've heard regarding Harvey Weinstein.
From what I've seen, every time somebody tries to bring up a public name and they have a lot of money and power and a publicity machine behind them, the person who does the accusing is the one that ends up looking bad.
They would pull away the better looking younger kids and keep them for their own after party, and it would turn into a pool party. And then they'd have their rules. Oh, there's no swimsuits on in the pool.
Operation is pointing to individuals who played a significant role, showing the mindset of this is how it works, pure and simple. This is why I got into it, why I have power, and how the system operates. However, this attitude does not hold up in the face of accountability. Recently, Tom Hanks and others are allegedly attempting to flee the U.S. after the FBI announced its first arrest in the Diddy case. Meanwhile,
the former boss of the fashion giant Abercrombie & Fitch and his British partner have been
is exposing those involved in the abuse of minors as young as 7. Shocking revelations from victims provide a deeper look into one of Hollywood's worst sexual abuse rings. The idea of sexual predators in positions of power is not unique to Hollywood. In any industry, power dynamics can lead to inappropriate behavior, ranging from harassment to predatory acts. Hollywood's culture of silence. A critical question arises: is there a culture of complicity in Hollywood? Women fear speaking up due to
The arrest on sexual abuse and racketeering charges and reporting about Diddy on his Substack, Culture Fries, and on his Touré Show podcast. Touré, my friend, talk about more that you learned about what led to Diddy's downfall.
Well, you know, Cassie was recording an album for about 10 years. She made a ton of songs. She made collabs. She had producers. She thought she was actually working on an album. That was ultimately a giant pacifier to keep her happy while Diddy was actually using her for other things, right? For the freak-offs that we're talking about. The album never had a release date. It was never really going to come out. He was just using her for that purpose. So that's part of where you get into racketeering, that there's all these people that he's using in a business context to have her at his beck and call in this other nighttime context. And it's really disgusting, and he really robs her of her spirit and her time that she could have used to become a great artist. And when Kim Porter passes away, and this is from a story that I'm working on for the Substack, that'll come out later this week. When Kim Porter passes, Diddy is so distracted and devastated that Cassie's able to get away from him. She gets pregnant and she gets married, and then she's in a supportive environment. Her parents are around her, her husband, she has friends around her. She goes to rehab, and there she finds her voice to be able to speak up for the person she used to be, right? When she was under his control, because she's not that person anymore. And when she gets to that place in her life, she starts to speak up, because there's so many people who wanted to speak out against him and were afraid. And when she finds the courage to speak up about her truth, then others are able to come forward, and then it all falls apart for him.
You know, racketeering implies that there are more than one person involved, though. Is there, and that is the question a lot of people are asking, is who else is involved in this?
There are other people within Diddy's operation who we can point to as playing a major role as far as security, as far as procuring things, as far as getting people into his orbit. I would imagine that many of those people are currently talking to federal law enforcement, trying to save themselves from going to prison. Others are sitting there nervous. Not everyone is talking, but surely some of them are. So, I mean, there's a lot of people lining up to tell the story, but I think a lot of the evidence is going to come from what Sean himself videotaped.
Listing, while men either fear similar consequences or accept the system as it is. Some justify their actions, saying, "This is how it works," yet this does not justify the complicity. Many victims, silenced through non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, were unable to share their stories. This cycle of silence perpetuates abuse, as seen in the Diddy case. 50 Cent's Stand.
And those statements include descriptions of what the witness says he saw on those tapes. So I asked him about that, and he answered what he could, given the limitations imposed on him after testifying before the grand jury.
Woman to speak out against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs is from Harris County.
Yeah, our Rekha Mudaraj is here with more on the lawsuit that was filed yesterday. Rekha?
Len and Mia, these are the latest accusations against Sean Combs, and it comes about a week after Combs was indicted on federal charges alleging he used his business empire as a criminal enterprise. Now, yesterday, high-powered attorney Gloria Allred appeared with her client. This is Talia Graves, a Harris County resident who filed a lawsuit against Combs in New York. We are using her name because she has gone public with her claims. Now, in the lawsuit, Graves alleges back in 2001, when she was 25 years old, Combs and his head of security lured her into a meeting at a New York.
Is your client fearful if Diddy does get out?
As you know, I represent other clients, actual victims who have sued Mr. Combs, Diddy, in civil court, and all of them are very apprehensive about their safety if he were to be granted bond. I am confident in the court. I am sure that the court will remain with their previous decision of no bond. I feel like the judge only gave this, let me think about it, just to not make it as obvious. But I have all the confidence in the world and the federal court and the state of New York that they will remain keeping Diddy under no bond, and that all of the victims in this case will be able to proceed sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and you mentioned, I mean, you don't just represent this man, you represent other alleged victims too and people involved. Have there been any threats made against any of your clients?
There have been threats from people on the internet, but not from, at least what we don't know, from Diddy to be directly. So my client...
On the evidence that the prosecutor presented, that the judge was going to allow him to be bonded out on the first get-go. Now, if he comes up with some more hearings, he might be released. But based on the evidence. They've been following him, bro. They've been tapping his phone, been having people watch him. You understand? He been coming back and forth from New York, and he don't usually be coming back in New York. And somebody was telling me that, yo, listen here, yo, he trying to get witnesses. Remember when they released that first thing of Cassie, and I said that Diddy was trying to contact people for character witnesses, people for who he had problems with before, whatever like that, and trying to talk to them in the whole 9 yards. That's when they dropped that thing with Cassie. The Homeland Security had some agency or whatever like that that deals with that, drop telling me enough is enough. Oh, okay. You tell Big Mama that enough is enough. You can't tell Wolf Mama enough is enough. You tell D Ferg Mama enough is enough. You understand? You're in the wrong.